When you're ready.
Ready.
Okay. First thing I do is I check my safety equipment. The first thing I start with is the fire extinguisher. I want to make sure the fire extinguisher is properly mounted and secure. I'm going to check the gauge to make sure the gauge is in the green, it's properly charged. If there's an inspection sticker on the fire extinguisher, I want to check to make sure that the fire extinguisher is in the correct date range. Okay. Now, it does not have to have it. It does not have to have a gauge. Does not have to have an inspection sticker. It's just how it's built. In this case, they do. The next thing I want to check is my triangles. In this case, since this is a yard tractor, we do not have the triangles in here. But otherwise, I must make sure that I have 3 reflective triangles. The other thing is I must have a spare set of fuses. Again, since this is a yard tractor and doesn't go on the roads, we do not provide fuses inside here. But normally the fuses can be found in the fuse box or in the glove compartment, but you must have a spare set. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to climb into the seat and I'm going to adjust my seat belt. So I'm going to adjust my seat first by pressing the clutch pedal all the way to the floor. So I'm going to check my 2 inches of free play on my clutch, make sure that I have at least 2 inches of free play. Then I'm going to push the clutch pedal all the way to the floor in order to find a comfortable seating position for that. Once I've done that, I'm going to check my seat belt. I'm going to check my seat belt by taking the seat belt and locking it into the lock position. So you'll pull it around, you'll lock it, click it on, make sure it locks, holds. Now unlock it, make sure it unlocks easy. Okay. Then I'm gonna look at the belt itself to make sure there's no cuts, cracks, frays, any kind of stuff like that on there. No kind of damage to the belt. Now, once that's done, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a safe start on this vehicle. Now, we're not gonna do a safe start because that's gonna interfere with the audio on the video. So we'll just assume that the engine is running for the rest of this test until it comes time to the brake test when we'd have to shut it off. So to perform, and like I said, we're not going to do it, but to perform a safe start, you're going to press the clutch pedal down. You're going to press your foot on the brake. You're going to find neutral. You'll start the engine. Once the engine is started, you're going to slowly bring your foot off the clutch to make sure we are truly in neutral. Once we see that we are, we can take our foot off the brake since we have our parking brakes on, and we can relax. Okay. Now with the engine running, I'm going to check and I'm going to pause for the airplane. Okay, with the engine running, I'm going to check 2 inches of free play on my steering wheel. So no, not the free play on the clutch. I see you pushing down on the steering wheel. Okay, so I'm going to move the steering wheel slightly and see where the free play is. I should have 2 inches or less. That's on the 20-inch wheel there. I'm going to go ahead and check my city horn, which is the one there in the middle. I'm going to hit it, see that it makes a sound. If we don't have it or it's not working, we're going to mention that. We're going to say that this horn is not there, it's broken. We're going to check our country horn. That's the air horn. Now, if we don't have air built up, we will not have that sound either. There are a few trucks that don't have that horn. So you'll mention either way if it's not working. Okay. Now that we've checked the horns, what I want you to do is you're going to then look outside, and we're going to assume that your door is closed. I understand somebody's filming there, so your door is not closed. So we're going to assume that it's closed, and you're going to check your mirrors. You'll make sure your mirrors are properly adjusted. You'll make sure they're clean, none of them are broken, no cracks, and that they are nothing obstructing that view. You'll then look forward to the windshield, and you're going to look for the same thing. You're going to make sure that there's no cracks larger than 1/4 of an inch. You're going to make sure there's nothing obstructing, like stickers or anything hanging there. You're going to make sure that the window is clean, or the windshield is clean, and that there's no chips in the windshield. Excuse me. At this point, you're going to check the wiper. Okay, you're going to turn the wipers on. You're going to use the control knob. You're going to turn the wipers on. You want to make sure that the wipers function. You're going to check the rubber of the wiper, make sure it's in good condition and it's doing what it's supposed to. Then you're going to push the button to have the water activate for the washer, and you're going to see the water or windshield washer fluid sprays out. We're going to come back to our center part of your dash. What we're going to do is we're going to check our gauges at this point. You're going to start with the left, work your way to the right. We're going to look at our gauges. First one we're going to check is our oil pressure gauge. We're going to check it. And again, that one's going to be variable. It's going to change as you accelerate, but it should be, and you're going to have to double check me on this one because this is the one I always mess up on. I think it's 25 to 45 or 25 to 55. 25 to 55? Yeah. Is that it? Thank you very much. 25 to 55 PSI, but it will change as you accelerate. So you'll check that. You're going to check your water temperature. Your water temperature, when you reach temperature, should be 195 to 205. You're going to check your voltage, and your voltmeter should read 12.5 to 14 to 14.2 volts. Could be up to 14.3. You're going to check your air pressure gauges, and you're going to make sure your air pressures read between 120 and 140 psi. You may have one gauge, a single gauge with 2 needles, and you may have 2 separate gauges for your primary and secondary tanks. I'm just going through to make sure I didn't miss any of those. It's easier when you're sitting up there and you're actually looking at them.
The fuel gauge.
When you're just, like I told you, I'm doing it by closing my eyes and just memorizing what's there. So did I skip any?
Fuel gauge.
Fuel gauge, yeah, the one we don't ever look at anyway. So. Yeah, we don't check our fuel gauge. We don't trust it. What we do is we want to check it manually by using a stick or just visually looking inside of it. Okay. We're going to check our light indicators at this point. So now, what we'll do is with our headlights on, we're going to turn our high beams on. We should see a blue indicator light come on our dash. Then we're going to turn our turn signals on. We're going to turn the left one on, then the right one, and see that we have the green blinking lights. Then we're going to turn our four-ways on. We're either going to have those 2 blinking green lights, or we're going to have a special light for the hazard four-ways. Okay. Now, once we've checked those, we're going to look at our ABS light. So again, once we had started the engine, we should have checked that. At this point, we could still do it if we didn't do it then. We could shut the engine off and then turn it back on. And again, we want to see that this ABS light on the dash turns on. It should be between 1 and 3 seconds, usually around 2 seconds. It should illuminate and then turn off.
It's not showing on this dash.
This is an older truck. There's no ABS on this one.
Oh, okay.
So,
As a matter of fact.
So as we continue along, okay, we've already talked about our windshield washer controls. So we're now going to talk about our heater defroster. So we're going to set our controls over to heat. We're going to slide the fan control up so that it's on, 1, 2, 3, or however it goes. Then we're going to move it over to heat. The first one, we're blowing out through our front vents. We're going to wait until we feel the hot air blowing out through there. We're going to put our hands in front and feel that first. Once we feel the hot air is coming, we indicate that. We're going to tell the examiner that I do feel hot air. I'm then going to slide the directional control over to the vent out of the windshield. And then I'm going to reach up to the windshield, and I'm going to wait until I feel hot air coming out of that. And then I'm going to say I also feel hot air coming from there. Again, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to go over visualize my controls there. Again, what's that?
Check the defroster too?
Yes, that was the last one. Remember, it was the heater and then the defroster. Okay. Now at this point, I'm done with the inside cab inspection. I'm going to begin the brake test. You guys want me to go over that as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So we already have our engine running, okay, at this point. So we're going to continue with the engine running, and we're going to do our first of the 2 tug tests, and then the spring brake test. So the tug tests are parking brakes. We're going to check the trailer and the tractor. It does not matter which one we do first. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do the trailer first. So I want the trailer brakes on, which means the red button I'm going to pull out, and the yellow button I'm going to push in. That way I have trailer brakes. I have no tractor brakes on the parking side. I'm then going to lift my foot slowly off the clutch with it in low gear, and I should start to feel it tug against those brakes. I'll push the clutch pedal back down. Now I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to push in the trailer brakes to release that, and I'll push out the tractor. Okay? And then I'm going to pull against the tractor. Okay? And the tractor brake should hold. Once I've done that, I've got one in. I'm going to go ahead and push them both in. And again, making sure that I'm at 120 psi. I'm going to then.
So you already get to 120 psi before you push them both in?
It should. Well, if it's not building, then what you may want to do is drain the tank a little bit with the foot pedal, so that it begins the charging phase. But yeah, so you should be about 120 psi. You could do it at less, but you should really do it at the optimum range at 120. Okay, so at this point now, you've got it built up to 120. Both buttons are pressed in. You're in gear. So what you're going to do is you're going to lift your foot slowly off the clutch pedal until the truck starts rolling. You're going to roll to approximately 15 feet, 20 feet or so that the truck is rolling pretty good. You're going to press the clutch pedal back down, and firmly, but not hard, not fast, you're going to press the brake pedal back down. You're going to stop. You're going to make sure, one, that the vehicle does stop correctly, and two, that it does not pull to the left or to the right. At this point, you're going to go ahead and let the air pressure build back up to 120. I have the buttons already pushed in. I have the vehicle already in gear. So once I reach 120 psi, I'm going to shut the engine off. I'm going to turn the key back on. Now, as I said, the buttons are already in. The gear truck is already in gear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move my foot pedal over to the brake pedal. I'm going to press down and hold the brake pedal. There should be an initial drop anywhere from 0 to 5 psi or so. Once that initial drop is ended, you're going to start your timer. You'll time for the next minute and look to see that the vehicle drops no more than 4 psi for a combination vehicle. If the vehicle drops 4 psi or less, it is successfully passed. If it's been more than 4 psi, then it has failed. Now, once the 1 minute is completed, you're going to move on to your next test, which is the fanning of the brake, looking for the alarm to come on. It'll either be a light or a buzzer or beep or something to that effect. You're going to press and release the brake pedal and continue to do that until the air bleeds down to anywhere between, or I'm sorry, not between, but anywhere 55 and above. So say, give an example, 63, my light comes on. I'm going to turn the examiner and I'm going to let him know that at 63 psi, my warning light came on, and that is successful test of the charge. I'm going to continue to bleed down until my buttons pop out, the spring brake buttons pop out. I'll continue bleeding down, and somewhere between 20 and 40 psi, both buttons should pop. If one should happen to pop out before the other, I can continue to bleed down until the second one pops. It should pop out usually no more than 1 or 2 more foot pedals beyond that. But they both must be popped out before 20 psi, and between 20 and 40. That's the end of my test. Any questions?